Hi, we're One-Eyed Doll, and you're watching
The Age of Metal.
Wah!
Hey everyone, this is Stephanie here with The Age of Metal, and I'm here right now with Kimberly and Jason of One-Eyed Doll. So how are you?
Great. How are you doing?
Doing fine, thank you for asking. So you're on the tour right now, headlining with I Set to Kill. So how's it going so far?
It's great. It's been really fun. This is our first true co-headliner. So we're basically switching who plays last, different nights, and it's been really fun. It's been really cool. I hear a lot about, power struggles with co-headliners and that kind of tension, but we're all so easy peasy and we just want to support each other that it's been really pleasant.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's the first time I heard that of the co-headliners kind of like switching off. Has that proved to be successful for you? Kind of like the crowd gets a surprise every show, or what do you think?
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, we don't really tell them who's going to be playing last each night, so it's just, we want people to show up for the whole show and to come early and see the local bands, and so it's been really cool. We let people know, each night we're going to be switching off, so
just come early and enjoy all the bands, so you don't miss anybody.
Exactly. That's come early. Always come early to every show.
Yeah.
All right. So I remember, we were talking earlier before the camera started running, and I was saying that I saw you open for Mushroom Head years ago, and that was my first time even hearing of you, and I was blown away by your live performance. So I thought that was one of the best live shows I've seen in a long time. So how do you, when you started the band, were you set on, I'm just going to kick ass live, or was it more did it just come naturally?
I like that question. That's very nice. No, we just kind of do what we feel, and whatever comes out, and sometimes it's goofy, and sometimes it's sad, and sometimes it's really excited, and it's just a reflection of whatever we're feeling at the time. There's nothing really more to it than that.
Interesting. And I know I was talking to a lot of my other friends who are really, into have a great stage presence and performance when they play, and they're very influenced by theater. So do you have any theater influences at all?
I went to a really tiny high school in Oregon, and there wasn't theater classes until I think my last year of school. So I took a theater class and did a couple plays, but that was all the theater experience that I have.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
hey, it might have had some influence,
Maybe, who knows? Well, now let's go ahead and talk about the Depeche Mode cover. So I love Depeche Mode, and I'm really happy that you covered it. So why did you go ahead and cover Depeche Mode?
Well, we wanted to do something with I Set to Kill as a collaboration of friendship to celebrate the tour, and we kind of just had to brainstorm songs that we would want to do, and they sort of brainstormed songs they would want to do that we could hear each other, on, and we basically just whittled it down to that. And I love Depeche Mode. I love the song. It's Enjoy the Silence. It actually is going to be out in a couple days to the early ticket buyers.
Oh, wow.
So the idea is that we've worked out a system to where we can help pre-sell the tickets for all the shows on our website. And that means that we have email addresses for all those people, which means we can send them goodies. And so what we're going to do with the song is email the song to everybody who's bought a ticket from our website up until the point that we have it up. So they're going to get like a secret download code. I think we're also going to send it to our VIPs and I Set to Kill's VIPs. And then everybody else will get it May 1st.
Oh, interesting.
So the ticket holders are going to get it first. And that's the plan so far.
I know. Because Enjoy the Silence is more of like a mellow song, whereas both you and I Set to Kill are a lot more aggressive. So I'd be interesting to see the dynamic. Like, do you still hold your individual influences, or is it more like we're just Depeche Mode?
Like a One Eyed Doll song or I Set to Kill song.
It does. It sounds like us. It's like guitars and rocking and drums and
cool.
It's like it totally sounds like it could be on either one of our albums.
Right.
It's like rocking and yeah. So
Maybe we'll let you hear it before while
maybe
you're packing it.
yeah, if you'd like to.
I would like to really. Now, do you play that live, or is that recording only?
We've been talking about it, whether we want to try to jam it live. The only
we
thing
rehearsed it once. That was it.
The only thing is that because we're doing a co-headlining set, we're basically sharing a headlining set. So both of our sets are kind of shorter than usual. So we're having a tough time like deciding what to knock off of our set list to squeeze it in. So it's a little like, I don't know. We might just stick with the recording. We might jam it live. It's kind of, I don't know yet. We did get to jam. We've jammed it acoustic, which sounds really cool too.
Wow,
I like it acoustic as well. I mean, Alexia's voice is so pretty. She's so pretty. She sings the verses on it, and then I take the chorus, and then we both play guitar.
That's
and
awesome.
Jason plays a lot of the instruments on it. He produced it, so I don't know. It's really nice. I love Alexia's voice in an acoustic setting. And that's one thing that they're doing for their VIPs after the shows is they're playing acoustic songs for their fans, which we've done in the past for our VIPs. And so I know that their fans are loving it right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how you're reaching out to your fans in that way, like doing the covers and then doing like special performances, because I know that your fans really feel a lot of gratitude about that.
I mean, we haven't really been heavy on covers in the past. This was literally just like,
Spur of the moment. Like,
this is what we decided to do together. So the covers thing isn't totally our world, but it's really fun. And just between us and all of those people in TV land, we did a couple more just on our own because, well, I mean, we had to come up with a little list, to compare lists and see what was on the same list
Yeah, we were in the
on the
studio,
same.
so we were like, let's throw down a couple more.
We secretly did a couple more.
oh, cool. Have you released them?
I don't know what our plans are for them. Honestly, it's just we just did them because we couldn't stop thinking about the songs and how we would do them. So we snuck a couple more in, and I don't know what we're doing with them.
Well, time will tell, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of unreleased material. I mean, we probably have as much unreleased material as we have released right now.
Oh my goodness.
That's just where we have to figure out ways to put it out, and
maybe like 10, 15, will probably be more like 15, 20 year One Eyed Doll anniversary. Like, there you go. This is the stuff I wrote 10 to 15 years ago.
Right.
And there, it's yours.
Totally. Well, I mean, this would be. My first tour was 11 years ago, so.
Yeah.
we're already past that 10-year point, I guess.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks. The first One Eyed Doll
I think
album.
One Eyed Doll was technically 2007, so we have one more year till the 10-year One Eyed Doll.
Yeah, we were a band before then, but just it was a different name and stuff. But the same song, same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like you two doing things, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Oh, cool. And one thing, I was scrolling through your Facebook page while I was getting the interview set up, and one thing that I found really interesting is that you were promoting local bands, and one of them I'm going to give a shout out is the Cunningham Wake, because they've been around the St. Pete scene for a long time, and I just think that's really cool. So why'd you go ahead and give them that attention?
Well, I want to just point out that especially this band, we go through all of our fans. I try to go one-on-one with. I mean, I can't get to everyone, but I try to send a message and be like, "Hey, we're coming to town," and and make sure they know the show's happening and all that stuff. And a lot of the people that I talked to said, "Oh, I got my ticket from the Cunningham Wake." I was like, "Wow, this band is like on it. They're like out there promoting and doing their thing." So I just want to to do what we can to put it out. Like, hey, check out this band. They're really cool. They're really helping us out.
Awesome local bands, like the shows that we play on tour that have really awesome, hardworking local bands are way better shows. And we notice the difference. And so we have a lot of respect for the local bands who are really working hard in their scene. And it really shows. It shows. And we remember those bands. So thank you, Cunningham Wake. And all of you hard-working bands out there who we get to play with, we really are honored to work with you and appreciate all the work that you put into it.
And I will also say that
He's passionate about that.
if our agent had his way, we might have 5 bands on the tour and no locals. And I always say we want 2 locals in every town. That's what I always push for that.
We try to leave space for the locals. And so that they don't have to play at 1 p.m.
Well, I think everybody respects that kind of attention that you give to up-and-coming bands. And check out the Cunningham Wake, they're awesome. Now, let's talk about you guys, just because I know that when just about every interview or any press release that I read of you and about your new albums, and then they ask, oh, well, how'd you write it? And then you're always like, oh, well, we just wrote our music just in the middle of the forest or on this tour or whatever. So, I mean, do you think just like that spontaneity is kind of the best way, just so whenever you're influenced, you just jot it on paper, you jam it out or whatever you do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a method. It's just writing is really spontaneous for me.
We try to have instruments around a lot. And that, and I think as any musician is drawn to the instrument and you pick it up and then you start writing something.
Yeah, the instrument is the muse, and sometimes that instrument is just my voice, or whatever, or the drone of the road. There's just inspiration comes from all around. Witches was inspired by history, it's a true story. So there was historical research that was done, and every album is totally different, but this one was written all at once in one big lump in a couple days.
There's actually one song that there's one song we spend a lot of time at various post offices around the country because we're always shipping out merch while we're on the road and all this stuff, and the U.S. Postal Service has these kiosks that print out your your stamp, and it makes this, like, no matter where you are, anywhere in the country, it makes this one particular sound, and we actually and every time I heard this sound, it started making this song, and sometimes we've got 100 packages to send out, so it's like you hear this. Yeah, you hear the sound, it makes a little melody, and we actually wrote a song out of that. Just that post office song. We recorded it. We sampled the sound that it made, and then we made a whole song out of it. So, and that's one of my favorite songs that we've made. It's not out yet.
It's the little thing that spits out your postage stamp out of the kiosk. So go to the post office, find a kiosk, and make a purchase out of the little machine, and it'll spit this thing out and make this really cool Transformers sound.
Yeah, but don't sample it and make a song out of it. We already did that. So hands off.
Yeah, the next pop song on the radio we hear is
the next Lady Gaga
that's how
song
that goes.
USPS. You're like, what the? All right. Stupid.
Yeah.
Oh man, see, and yeah, and people think that metal bands are influenced by Satan and all that. No, they're influenced by the post office.
There's always Satan.
Well, Satan's in our heart, you know.
We have come to the most awesome time of the evening. Florida, are you ready for a sing-along? All right. Junior and I are going to teach you the words to this super special song about friendship. Junior, give us a copy to learn by, please. Repito, por favor, which is Chinese for please repeat. Serial killers are people too. Serial killers are people too. If you take away the voices, I'm just like you. If you take away the voices, I'm just like you. I'll hack you up and bury you in my yard. I'll hack you up and bury you in my yard. But why does making friends have to be so very hard? But why does making friends have to be so very hard? And then you do this. Very good. And then there's the outro, which is Chinese for the end of the song. It goes la 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 la. La 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 la.
So I know, and I was reading or technically listening in another interview with you, Kimberly, that you were saying that you noticed that your albums are almost manic depressive. Like one album would be like crazy, spastic, like all over the place, and the next album would be really mellow and chill. So is there kind of like a reason why, you know, you just get into these different like influences with each album, or is it just how it goes?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't. I think it's just the songwriting process. I don't write music in order to sound a certain way. I just write it based on how I'm feeling and what environment I'm in at the time. So it's really just a response to the world around me. So. And the world is a very dynamic place, and our emotions are dynamic. Everybody has highs and lows, and that's just what my music reflects. I mean, it's interesting to me when bands put out albums and they're all about the same energy level. I can't really relate with that. I move and I change, you know, like. Because we naturally do that. Yeah. You know, you have your seasons in life, and I guess that's just how I write.
Interesting. Do you have anything to add to that, Jason?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that, you know, we do, as the number of albums that we have made has grown, we write songs and record songs all the time and just kind of leave them on the back burner sometimes until they make sense to be put together as a package in an album.
Sometimes it works like that.
Yeah, and so you know, you get something like Into Outer Space, which is an electronic album for the most part. It's a Kimberly Freeman solo album, but it's not anything like One Eyed Doll. But these are all kind of songs that we were playing around with that had this kind of electronic feel to them, and we just put them all in one album and put it out. And then you get something like the Sleep album, which is a more acoustic kind of mellow album, you know. So you know, the writing process can be up and down and all over the place, and we have probably 4 or 5 albums worth of material that it's not out yet. It hasn't been released. And then, you know, some songs will kind of gather together and start feeling like they belong together, and then, you know, kind of put them out.
You know, Jason's an awesome producer, so he can a lot of times, you know, sort of sort that out.
Yeah. And the other thing is I don't like to completely finish the song until it's part of that thing, so that I can put them all together and then be like, mix them as a single unit, and then be like, okay, it's finished, you know?
Yeah. And of course, Witches is an exception because that was all just done in one big process. And Witches is cool too because it's if you look at the recording on the screen visually, it's just one long song.
Witches is a single song. I would consider, like, when we approached it, it was just literally a like 45-minute song, just one single song. So.
Interesting, and I know, and that makes sense because it is a concept album. So I guess I can ask one more question about Witches because I'm personally very inspired by the Salem witch trials and everything. So was there, like, I guess, a significance to that story that kind of happened with the music and maybe even within your life?
Well, it was really just I just happened to read the story of a woman named Mary Esty, who was one of the people who was executed for witchcraft, and honestly, I hadn't learned much about this hysteria in my lifetime. It was kind of avoided in school, and it's a dark thing that happened in American history, very dark. And so people don't really want to talk about it, except in works of fiction where you're basically exploiting the victims, and that was the most that I'd seen of it. And so I was just really inspired to be yet another person to tell the story of those people who suffered this persecution. And that's really all it is. I mean, I think that I probably relate a little bit in a sense. You know, I've been a black sheep in my life, and a lot of people have felt ostracized, and I think it's just a very relatable story. You know, not just to me, but to a lot of people. And I just wanted to bring honor to the memory of those people who suffered under Puritanism and extremist religion.
Oh, yes.
They were really horrible to people. And I really hadn't learned much about it before I started researching it. It was just fascinating to me. You know, just on an intellectual level, but also emotionally. It was just like, it's intense, you know?
It is, yeah.
So.
Alright, here's how it goes. When I say, she must die, you say, black in the rye. Let's try. She must die!